A very good evening to you and welcome to MarketSquare. I'm Olaito Mbaba today and with me is...
Olaito Adebayo.
Good to have you on the show today, Olaito.
Thank you so much.
With the increase in the monetary policy rate aimed at reducing spending and slowing down the economy to lower inflation, Tier 1 banks in Nigeria have made significant profits from this action initiated by the Central Bank of Nigeria. An analysis of quarterly financial reports reveals that a total of 10 major deposit money banks have collectively earned approximately 4.20 trillion naira in the first 9 months of 2024, a staggering increase of 102.81% from 2.07 trillion naira during the same period last year. The surge in profits comes amidst a high interest rate environment which has benefited these financial institutions. The financial institutions include Tier 1 banks like Zenith Bank, GTCO, United Bank for Africa, and FBN Holdings. Others are Stanbic IBTC Holdings, Sterling Bank, Eco Bank, Wema Bank, and Jais Bank. GTCO led the profit ranking with 1.09 trillion naira, marking a remarkable 195% increase from September 2023. Following GTCO were Zenith Bank, FBN Holdings, UBA, Eco Bank, and Access Bank. Similarly, Stanbic IBTC Holdings reported a profit of 182.87 billion naira, up from 109.25 billion naira. Sterling Financial Holding Company and Wema Bank saw the profits reach 27.45 billion and 52.73 billion naira respectively, reflecting significant growth. Meanwhile, Jais Bank, a non-interest institution, experienced a substantial profit increase of 182.39%, reaching 18.11 billion naira, up from 6.41 billion naira. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria raised the monetary policy rate 5 times, increasing it from 18.75% to 27.05% in an effort to control inflation and stabilize the devalued naira. While banks are benefiting from the high interest rate environment, the organized private sector is experiencing concerns about the negative impact of these sustained hikes on their business and operations. How does this profit of these banks reflect the overall economic climate in Nigeria, particularly regarding inflation and consumer confidence?
Thank you. Like you said earlier, the MPR has been increased 5 times this year to 27.25%. And the Central Bank of Nigeria said this is done because to stabilize the currency and also to curb inflation. But while others are benefiting, like the financial banks are benefiting from this, many people are actually suffering from these challenges because you can see the situation of the country. The CBN governor said it is to curb inflation, but it's not reflecting. Now, these banks are offering that they are borrowing, the charge they put on loans is very much expensive, making it hard for businesses and people that rely heavily on this loan to run their businesses. And also, when you look at the situation of the Nigeria, these banks are making it, which actually raise concerns about how they'll maintain these profits if inflation continues to rise. Because when inflation rises, people purchasing power tends to come down, and this will actually affect their businesses. Though the Central Bank of Nigeria aims to curb inflation, stabilize the value of naira, but you can actually do that while encouraging growth for everyone and not just one sector. It doesn't have to benefit only the financial sector, but everybody as a whole.
Okay, I think looking at what you just said now, for business owners and investors who wants to collect loans in order to invest into their business, knowing that the interest rate is on the high side would make it difficult for them to go to the banks and, borrow money in order to invest into their business. And this means that even if they borrow this money because they know they have to pay the loan back, it also means that there will be high price in the things they put out there. So regardless of what the CBN is trying to do, it still means that this approach might probably not work because the major people that this will affect is business owners and investors.
And the average Nigerians.
It would really, really have impact on average Nigerians because they are the one buying this product. And because this business owners wants to make their profit too, regardless of the amount they are going to put it out there, I think the people who this would have major impact on are the people out there. And the people are already going through a lot when it comes to the inflation already in Nigeria. So why Nigerians are still grappling with inflation and food insecurity, while Edun, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, has introduced a new agenda called Renewed Hope. This is what Nigerians want, new hope at this point in time. And this renewed hope is aimed at reshaping Nigerians' economy. This agenda involves removing the fuel subsidy, transitioning to a market-determined foreign exchange rate, and enhancing fiscal policies to attract foreign investment, increase revenue, and reduce poverty. Nigeria, for the first time in decades, has a foreign exchange rate that is market-based and also market pricing for petroleum products. Edun highlighted that the adoption of a market-based foreign exchange rate and the deregulation of petroleum product pricing are long overdue measures as they will usher in a new era of economic prosperity. By allowing the foreign exchange rate to be determined by market forces, Nigeria aims to attract foreign investment, stimulate economic activity, and stabilize the currency. Additionally, now the deregulation of fuel pricing is expected to reduce government expenditure, improve efficiency in the energy sector, and also encourage private sector investment in refining and distribution. According to Edun, this changes removing fuel subsidies and allowing the foreign exchange rate to fluctuate based on market dynamics have the potential to unlock significant economic growth. He argued that these reforms could attract greater investment, stimulate productivity, boost GDP, create jobs, and ultimately reduce poverty.
While the government is quite optimistic about these new reforms, it has both the future benefits and the downside. And looking at it, for many years, the government has been subsidizing the fuel prices, which has allowed people to buy prime fuel at a lower rate instead of the normal rate. And this has put a lot of strain on government finances. But looking at it right now, it has been removed. And the main effect is that it will reduce fiscal deficits and also free up resources in order for it to the government to be able to put that money into other sectors like the healthcare sector, the education sector, and infrastructure that will help boost the Nigerian economy. But looking at the downside, now the price of fuel has already gone up. The cost of transportation to move from just short distance has increased, and this has made it difficult for people to live in this country. And I know the inflation. You know what is happening right now in the country, the inflation and the hike in price. And once there's hike in price of fuel like this, businesses tend to shift that fuel price onto their customer, making it life for even average Nigeria to understand the situation, to be able to live. But looking at the good side, this will bring about more investment into this energy sector and also develop another alternative for the energy sector, which is already in position because the compressed natural gas is already being adopted by the federal government because it is a cleaner and safer energy, unlike the fuel prices, unlike the fuel. But when talking about the other key reform, which is the market-based foreign exchange rates, before in the past years, the federal government, which is the CBN, has maintained a fixed price. Okay, they don't allow the market to decide the rates. The CBN actually decides the rate, but this actually caused a lot of problems between the official rate and the black market rate. But looking at it right now, the government the Central Bank of Nigeria has said, okay, fine, you guys, the market should decide the prices of this foreign exchange rate. And this, in the long run, this has actually affected the value of Naira, but in the long run, it will bring about foreign direct investment, which actually need in Nigeria right now. But also, it also make our market more stable for people to follow.
All right. Okay, so according to what you just said now, what Edun said is something that had garnered support from IMF and also the World Bank, which is really good for Nigeria. But then when we're looking at it, the long term, what we expect from it, the economic future of Nigeria, what we expect from it is actually something to look forward to. But then we also have to look at the fact that Nigerians are dying at this point in time due to the inflation. A lot of people are starving, they can't eat. So the government would need to create another strategy directed to people that are in the lower class, the people that get lower income, in order to sustain them so that when this thing we're looking forward to, when this economic future, this grand economic future we're looking forward to happens, these people will be there in order to also witness this and also enjoy this new strategy that's said by Wale Edun. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has stated that Nigeria is facing difficulties in securing enough funding to develop its local gas resources, despite having some of the largest gas reserves in the world. The Executive Vice President of Upstream at the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Orishemeyiwa Eyeson, recently discussed this issue while speaking at the strategic panel session at the ongoing Abu Dhabi International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, saying that assessing capital for gas projects remains a major challenge. Nigeria has over 200 trillion cubic feet of proven gas reserve, making it the largest gas holder in Africa and the 8th largest in the world. However, even with the initiative like the Decade of Gas program, which aims to increase the use of natural gas for energy, the country is still struggling to balance the goals of reducing carbon emission and tackling energy poverty. Given that most funding for gas projects in Nigeria mostly comes from the international oil companies, who are primarily focused on exporting gas rather than developing local infrastructure, could these funding challenges delay the country's transition to cleaner energy sources like compressed natural gas or lighter?
Yeah, it will definitely affect it because looking at it, without adequate funding, it will reduce government efforts towards alternating to a cleaner energy like the CNG, and it will also like make it also make the government now to develop a fully natural gas resources. Another thing is that without adequate funding, they won't be able to like develop building infrastructure to make CNG more available and accessible. And not everybody knows about the CNG. And this is why we need to create awareness and about the benefit of CNG and also set up campaigns and programs that will help educate people about the benefit of this. But if there are no adequate funding, this will not fly. This will not make it to the adoption stage. And to actually, because the government wants to push out a cleaner energy and a safer one, which is very good for Nigeria. But without adequate funding, this cannot be done.
All right. I also believe that with the fuel subsidy being removed, there should be funds in order to do this. Nigeria is known for importing petroleum from other countries, and this new thing of cleaner energy sources like compressed natural gas, which will definitely help the atmosphere even in Nigeria. I believe the government should put in money, invest into all of this so as to make this happen on time and let Nigerians live in a better atmosphere. Somalia, one of the world's poorest nation, has received substantial support from one of the wealthiest. In a move that exemplifies the power for assisting the vulnerable, the United States recently announced the cancellation of $1.14 billion in debt owed by Somalia. This debt forgiveness is a part of a broader $1.2 billion aid package aimed at strengthening Somalia's economic recovery, enhancing public services, and improving security. This act of support underscores a commitment to helping Somalia achieve stability and sustainable growth. The debt forgiveness was officially announced by the U.S. Ambassador Richard Reilly, who described the relief as a clear indicator of America's dedication to Somalia's future. Take a listen to the announcement.
We're very pleased to announce that the United States has just completed its domestic processes to forgive $1.14 billion of Somalia's debt. This was the largest single component of the total $4.5 billion of debt that Somalia owed to many countries that was forgiven through the heavily indebted Poor Countries Initiative.
Somalia external debt, which stood at 64% of its GDP in 2018, has now been reduced to less than 6%, allowing the government to focus on rebuilding essential services and driving economic development. Somalia's journey to debt relief has been a lengthy and difficult process in 2020. The country reached a key milestone under the heavily indebted Poor Countries Initiative, securing $4.5 billion in debt relief from the IMF and World Bank. This significant reduce in the external debt opened the door for new financial partnership and opportunities for economic growth. Given this backdrop, how does the recent debt forgiveness further impact Somalia's overall debt burden and economic outlook?
Yeah, Somalia is one of the poorest countries and it has been like struggling with debt ever since 2018. And with this new debt relief, it's a huge news for the people and for the country of Somalia, because with less debt to pay, the government can now focus on rebuilding the economy of Somalia instead of using all of its budget on paying debt. And this also brings about direct investment into the country, especially in the sectors like agriculture, which will definitely help grow their country, and also open up many financial aid for the country in the future. But looking at it, Somalia is still currently facing challenges like the political instability, the security threats from the Abu Dhabi, the security threats, and also the after effects of the climate change, which is actually affecting their food security. But if Somalia country wants to like enjoy the benefits of this debt relief, they have to implement an economic policy that is well grounded and also combat corruption and also prioritize sustainable development that will help reform the outlook of the economy.
All right. And I also believe this will strengthen the relationship between USA and Somalia, which is what we always look forward to, having unity in all of the countries. Living in peace is what we look forward to. And a big thank you to USA for canceling and for giving Somalia their debt. We look forward to more of this in the country. Now, thank you for joining us on the show. My name is Olaito Baba today, and with me has been
Olaito Adebayo.
Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. See you on the next one.